Hello, I'm your host, Neil Howard, here on Health Professional Radio. Thank you for joining us and making us a part of your day. Going to have a conversation with Susan Sheena. She's a mother of 4 boys, including a son diagnosed with schizophrenia at age 20. She's joining us on Health Professional Radio to talk about her experience, what she wished she had known going into it, and give a little bit of advice for parents and maybe patients to help better navigate their diagnosis. Welcome to the program, Susan Sheena. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Right. Now, you're a mother of 4 boys. A little bit of background about yourself what is it that you do other than raising boys, which is quite a handful?
Well, I'm in e-commerce, but I've kind of switched now into the mental health field. I've become an advocate and a coach, helping other parents navigate their way through the mental health system, which is an endless maze of barriers and obstacles. And having had nobody to guide us, I decided to pay it forward.
Right. Now, your oldest son was diagnosed with schizophrenia at the age of 20. Is it, in fact, your oldest son?
It is my oldest son, but he wasn't diagnosed until he was 28.
Oh, okay.
Officially diagnosed at 28. Yes, we were living in the drug addiction world for about 7 years before we moved into the mental illness world, and we're not quite sure what came first. You know, if he was self-medicating because he was hearing the voices, which is probably what it was in the end. But we lived through a lot of chaos and turmoil for a long, long time.
What were healthcare professionals saying? I mean, was this something that you had to knock your head up against many, many walls to finally get some answers or some help, or were you just on your own for quite a number of years?
I was basically on my own. I have some healthcare professionals who are friends of mine, so I would always pick everybody's brain, and I would call whoever anybody recommended to me. I would go to any meeting I could go to. I'd read any book I could read. But there really is no guidance. There's no pat answer. There's no, if you have strep throat and they prescribe amoxicillin and you're better within 48 hours, there's no direct chain of events of things that you're supposed to do in order to help yourself, because everybody's so different.
When it comes to the family, you've got your son that you're dealing with, and you've got your other children, you've got your family. What type of an impact? It must have been extremely chaotic and hectic for quite a while.
It was very chaotic. My house was an insane asylum. It was constant. Where is he? What is he doing? The other kids were angry. They felt like one time when he was thrown out of a rehab, one son felt that we should have left him there and let him fend for himself. They've all suffered in different ways, but they've all come together now that he's officially diagnosed with a mental illness as opposed to drug addiction, where they felt like he could control it and he was hurting everybody in the family. They're all warm and loving now, and just they really rallied around.
You know, there is much more than a bit of stigma attached to drug addiction and mental health. Talk about the transition that you just described from being angry and fearful and hurt, where Lance was concerned, to being supportive based on a diagnosis.
Well, I didn't know what schizophrenia was. We don't have a family history that we know of, so we really I had to shift my thinking and the way I handled him, because with drug addiction they tell you to play hard and let them fend for themselves, and yet I needed to be an integral part of his treatment now. And I'm sorry, you were talking about stigma, right?
Yes.
I went off the path. Did I go off?
No
Okay. So like when, I have friends whose kids were diagnosed with cancer or, juvenile diabetes, and the community just rallies around. But when somebody's mentally ill, there's nobody. People are afraid. People don't want to talk about it. Even people that are experiencing themselves don't want to talk about it. So there's a lot of stigma.
Yeah. So it seems that the stigma for both of your son's struggles kind of are the same in society, but when it comes to the family rallying around his close circle of support, there seems to be that change in attitude. Like you said, you had to shift your attitude as well. Now that you've got some answers and you've got some support, obviously he's not self-medicating anymore. He's on prescribed medications for his condition. Are any of the side effects and some of the things that go on with these medications similar to the medications when he was self-medicating?
I'm not sure if they're similar. No, I mean, there's a lot of side effects where he's tired and he can't get out of bed, and you have a flat affect, or where your hands shake. There's a lot of side effects, but the doctor that we're seeing counteracts everything for him. And he's managed to lose 40 pounds, and he's managed to stop smoking cigarettes, and he's stopped self-medicating. He's compliant now. He was non-compliant for many, many, many years, and it was very difficult for us.
What do you wish that you had known going in? You've learned a wealth of, you've gathered a wealth of information through this journey, but what do you wish that you had known before going in, and what will you tell people now, and what do you tell people now when they're faced with the same struggles?
I tell them to contact SORTA, Schizophrenia and Related Disorders Alliance of America, which really focuses on schizophrenia, as opposed to NAMI, which focuses on a broader spectrum of mental disorders. But I tell them to contact NAMI also, because they have a wonderful family-to-family 12-week free seminar, which is, you learn a lot of information there. And I also tell them to read I Am Not Sick, I Don't Need Help, How to Help Someone with Mental Illness Accept Treatment by Javier Amador, who is a PhD but had a brother with schizophrenia. So it's written for the layman and the professional. And I also tell them to get help for themselves, because if you can't help yourself, if you're not okay, you can't help anyone else. Like when they tell you on the airplane to put the oxygen mask on yourself before you help the person next to you, you're of no good to anybody if you're a mess. You can't help anybody. You can't think rationally. You can't think clearly. And everybody else around you will fall apart as much as you're falling apart. As a mother, I'm the rock in my family. And I thank God every day that where I am today, and that my son is still alive, because he was suicidal a few years ago, unbeknownst to us. Mm-hmm. And he's still very sick, but he's alive and he's compliant, and the voices are quiet for today. So I'm grateful.
That's good. Now, you mentioned SARDA, SARDAA, the Schizophrenia and Related Disorders Alliance of America. Where can our listeners go online and get some more information about SARDA and some other places where we can get some support?
Okay, so they can go to SARDA, SARDAA.org. There's also, they have a weekly teleconference support group that they can call into on Tuesday nights, and they can go to scjourney.com to hear more about Lance's story and schizophrenia, and they can also go to NAMI.org. But as I said, SORTA really focuses on schizophrenia. They are trying to reclassify schizophrenia as a brain disorder rather than a mental illness, so that clinicians can treat the entire body and not just the mind, which is very important.
Thank you for coming on the program and telling us your story and talking about the support that our listeners can gain if they're dealing with schizophrenia.
Thank you for having me, Neil. Have a great day.
You do the same. You've been listening to
Thank
Health
you.
Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neil Howard. Transcripts and audio of this program are available at hpr.fm and healthprofessionalradio.com.au.
Thank you for listening to Health Professional Radio. We're very proud to be an independent broadcaster providing our content free of charge to you, the listener. One of the ways that we're able to remain free and independent is by having people like you become patrons. You can support Health Professional Radio simply by visiting hpr.fm and clicking the button that says Become a Patron. Your patronage of even just $1 a month lets us know that you're there, which in turn makes us more valuable to advertisers. And, of course, if you're able to afford more, then we would certainly appreciate the support. My name is Toby Longhurst from Health Professional Radio. Please visit hpr.fm, click the Become a Patron button, and support us if you can.